Hey, welcome back to MgM Paints. Today we're going to take this Sector Imperialis terrain and turn it into this quickly and effectively with no airbrush and no washes. Now in order to do this, we will need a few things, and just some makeup brushes will do. I got these on Amazon for less than $6. You're also going to need a handful of paints, 8 to be exact. Now the terrain piece we're painting today is a section from Kill Team Chalnath. It is Sector Imperialis terrain for 40K Kill Team. And for a piece of terrain, there's a lot going on here, and I want to paint this quickly so I can get it onto the tabletop. I want it to look nice, but I don't want to spend the time that I would a regular model. I start with a undercoat of black from a rattle can that you can purchase from your local hardware store, and the key is you just want to be sure that it is a matte black finish. Now the first paint I'm going to use is the Army Painter Uniform Gray, and from that I'm going to load this up onto one of the larger makeup brushes that I have, and I'm going to begin to dry brush. This is a step that can be done pretty quickly, and I just want to be sure that I go all over the model and using a circular motion, getting it from the top, bottom, left, and right. You can see the color shows nicely, and you don't have to be very careful here. This should be a pretty quick step as you make your way around applying this first base coat. We're going to apply a few more as well. And when that's complete, we don't have to waste any time. We can dive right into the second step, and I use a mid-tone. This is a Vallejo green-gray. You pick whatever 3 colors you want to use, but the theory is to put down your base, put down a mid-tone, and then get the highlights with another color. So using Vallejo green-gray, I'm going to go back over this, not doing as hard of a dry brush this time, really kind of focusing on some edges and leaving some of that uniform gray on the base. I should add for this step, I did use a new makeup brush, so I don't have to wait for the other one to dry after I wash it. Next we're going to move on to the third step, which is going to be our highlight color, and for this I used Vallejo Wolf Gray. Similar to our previous steps, we are going to go through making circular motions with our dry brush, but really doing a lighter dry brush and focusing on the raised areas. Once again, this isn't something that you have to be very precise with, as this has been around for centuries and millennia, so it is going to be damaged, and it is going to be very irregular. And when that's complete, you'll really start to see some of these edges pop out, and this is now pretty good for our base. We are going to move into using an accent color, and for this I'm going to stick to more of a bluish kind of tone. I didn't like the reds and the super bright colors that I tend to see on these buildings a lot, so I grabbed Citadel's The Fang, and using another one of these makeup brushes, this time it has more of a thin and long tip, I'm just going to go through and start stippling on some of this color. I will be primarily focusing on the wall sections, and if you happen to spill over or anything like that, again, it's not a very big deal, as this is a terrain piece, and unless you're really up close, it is going to be difficult to see. Using that flat makeup brush allows me to get kind of stabby in some of these nooks and crannies, so that is a big benefit. So quickly, again, I'm just working my way around, picking out some of the wall sections and painting them with this color. And with that step complete, we are going to go through one more time and give this kind of a highlight color, if you will. I decided to go with Citadel's Rust Gray, and using one of these makeup brushes, it's the same thing, where I'm just going to get some paint onto the brush and go through adding some more color to the walls. Now, you don't have to go all the way to the edge here. You can certainly leave some color variation. That's perfectly okay. As you can see, I'm intentionally not painting the whole thing a solid color. I want this to look very worn and irregular. So this is also just another quick step using one of those flat makeup brushes, and once that's done, we will move on to the fun part. Now on this next bit, if there was a Chaos God that was offering me some kind of a deal to not have to do this, I would have probably taken him up on that. I'm going to go with Vallejo Natural Steel here. Use whatever kind of chainmail type of color you want, silver color. I'm going to go through and start to paint on all of these details. And on these particular pieces of terrain, there's a lot of details going on here. So I start with a small brush before finally throwing caution to the wind. and just grabbing a huge old brush and starting to just go through and try to knock this out as efficiently as possible. I do think this is where the Army Painter's new metallic speed paint will come in extremely handy. I do not have one of those on hand as they haven't released yet, at least for the folks that have not gotten the previews. So I'm still having to do things kind of the old school way for now. This is what took the bulk of the time with this entire kit, as I'm working my way around grabbing the skulls, grabbing the trim, and any other details that I want to be silver or gold. And here's a look at all the things that I painted silver, and now we are going to have some fun and turn some of that into a bronze type of color. This is the Army Painter Speed Paint Hardened Leather, and I'm going to go over the silver areas that I want to have a bronze type of look, and that is going to be a lot of what I painted on already. Now I know what you're thinking, why didn't I paint it bronze anyway? Well, that's because I would have to go back over and wash it. This works pretty much just the same. So while I did paint it silver, I am now going to go back over with that hardened leather to give it a bronze look, and this is also going to run into the recesses as well, giving us shade and a nice highlighted effect while we're at it. And with that step complete, you can now see the terrain really coming to life. And we are now going to go over some of those silver areas, and for this I've chosen to use the Army Painter's Gravelord Gray. I just really love how this looks over silver, and I actually tried this with a wash first. I used Citadel's Nuln Oil, and I just didn't feel like it gave me the depth and the pop that I really wanted. So I grabbed the Army Painter's Gravelord Gray, went over all of the silver areas, and it really kind of gives me that worn and dingy look that I'm going for. And with that step complete, so is my terrain piece. So I really liked the way that these turned out. It was quick and easy for me to do. It was also quickly replicated on other pieces of terrain. You'll be seeing this on the tabletop very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's really good to switch the content up from time to time and provide something different. Also, a big thank you to the Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now. If you'd like any information on that, a link will be down in the description. It's by no means necessary. If you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support my channel. Thanks so much, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.